Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well today. This time we're going to be talking about Terminus Zombie Survivors. This is a pretty fun game. It plays a little bit like a retro version of 7 Days to Die. I like the game a lot. I think the developer did a good job of recreating the tension of stuff like XCOM UFO Defense with the day-night cycle, but I still have some problems with it. There are some issues that I'm going to talk about in a minute. There is a story that kind of ties all of this together. The game picks up after the zombie apocalypse has already taken place. Society's already broken down, and you need to escape the house that you're in. You're looking for something called Terminus. It is basically going to be the safe haven that you have to get to. So you've got a pretty clear end goal. You just need to get to the finish line and win. That sounds easy, but it's a little bit harder than that as the difficulty ramps up as you wander through just the hellscape that is this city. It is a lot of fun, but let's talk about the gameplay because I've got a few issues with it. This is a turn-based strategy game. In some ways it plays like XCOM UFO Defense, like the original one, where you have to move your character around and you have a specific amount of action points that you can use in each turn. These will be used by just walking around or opening up a cabinet and searching or attacking the enemy. It's okay. I like it, but I also liked a lot of the other games like XCOM UFO Defense and that sort of thing. At the beginning of the game, you pick a character class. Most of these are going to be locked when you first start, so you need to do certain things in order to unlock more classes. The three that you can pick from at the beginning are soldier, firefighter, and police officer. After that, there's athlete, security guard, student, park ranger, construction worker, martial artist, chef, farmer, doctor, driver, and pastor. So you'll have a lot of different ways to kind of change the way that you're doing things. Each character class has their own strengths and weaknesses, so yeah, you can kind of pick and choose how you want to go through this. A lot of what you're going to be doing is just scavenging for weapons and items. It's a constant thing in this game because your weapons are going to break. Some of them don't have great durability, others have pretty good durability. You'll also need to get a lot of food in this. A lot of food and water. That's where just some of this really starts to break down because they tried for realism, but much like 7 Days to Die, I think they took it a step too far because I personally don't need to eat every 4 hours, and I definitely don't need to drink something every couple hours either. I don't get dehydrated and hungry that fast, but in this game it seems to go by really quick. There's also a little crafting system in this, so you can level up different things or find different items to unlock more crafts, like cooking food, making different weapons. You can also, make different clothing, that sort of thing. It's kind of fun. I like doing that sort of thing, but with Terminus, if you just try to go for the end goal, you don't really explore the crafting system as much as you probably could, or at least I didn't when I was playing through this. You do have options to build up a little base or something like that, and that wasn't something I explored on my first couple playthroughs. I was just trying to get through this and figure out how to do things, and I found it was just easier to race for the ending, but that's just me. You're going to need to explore the city before you actually find Terminus, so your first goal is to find a radio. You need to find your radio, and that will broadcast the location of Terminus. Then it gets put on your map. Or you can follow the hint at the very beginning and try to find the train tracks and follow those to wherever Terminus is. It's kind of cool that you have those two options, and you also have the option to just not do either of those, which is kind of fun. the game can essentially turn into a sandbox for you, which is great. I like it when games offer that. Once you do reach the end of the game, then there's kind of a scoring system that's given to you. It's not really that big of a deal, but it does kind of play into unlocking more things, I guess. It's okay. The combat in this is odd, to say the least. It goes into almost like an RPG look, where you can attack 3 different spots on the zombie, so you can hit it in the head, hit it in the stomach, or hit it in the legs. I don't know why you would aim for anything but the head, but that's just me and the zombie films that I'm so used to, where you hit them in the head, so that's what I always did in this. The gameplay is pretty simple, but it is a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. I think the game looks okay. It's a top-down turn-based game that resembles XCOM from the mid-90s. It isn't an exact copy of XCOM, just because you don't have the isometric look to it, but it is pretty fun, and I like the retro graphics to it. I also like the cutscenes. I think they look pretty good. They're nothing amazing. They're just pretty simple, but they work pretty well for the game, for what you're looking at in this game. There's also a day-to-night cycle, which is done pretty well. I like the fact that you lose a lot of visibility at night, and you need to find something in order to just give yourself really a chance to see the zombies. But you can also see them moving around, especially when they get close. Every time you hit that end turn button, you kind of get the feeling that, something bad's going to happen, because you can't see the zombie movement during nights. You can't see the other survivors moving around. So, yeah, it's kind of a cool way to build up a little tension. I don't think it makes the game scary, but it does build up a little bit of tension for you. I have in my notes here, the combat screen looks a little bit like one of the early Dragon Quest games. I'm not sure why I wrote that down, but it does look like a turn-based RPG screen from one of the retro RPGs from either the 80s or the 90s, where you can see the enemy and you don't really see yourself, so you get like a first-person perspective. And yeah, it's kind of cool. You can see your attacks, when you miss, that sort of thing. You don't get this when it's the zombie's turn. You just have the zombie walk up to your character, and then you'll see them swing. You might get an indication that you dodged or something like that. It's fine. One thing with the graphics that I don't really like, I always had a hard time realizing that I was bleeding or had some kind of a status effect, because I wasn't always looking at the bottom left hand part of the screen where your character's info was. I can imagine when you do get a party of characters, it's probably going to get more cluttered and you might not realize what's going on. That was one thing I didn't do. I just went solo, so I didn't have a group of people with me. That is one thing I don't like, is just that visual presentation. Once you do realize that you're dead, though, after bleeding you out, then you at least know what's happening, because the game loads your previous save, which is great. That was kind of cool, so at least that's in there, and I like that. Overall, the visuals are okay. The only really big issue I had was knowing what status effects my character had, and usually I could figure that out before I ended my turn, so I could do something about it. But not as often as I would have liked, especially when I first started playing. As I got more experience, I knew to check down there, but right off the bat, I had no idea. Well, I do like the game. I think it's a lot of fun. There are some things that I just don't like, especially about the mechanics of the game. Much like 7 Days to Die, it feels like your character just gets thirsty and hungry way too fast. It's that type of almost hyper-realism that I just don't think works all that well in a video game. I shouldn't have to spend most of my time looking for something to eat and drink when I should be trying to do something else, but that's just me. This is a fun indie horror game. I like the idea of just having a simple goal like that where you just need to get to a safe haven. And I also like that it gives you the option to do a bunch of side quests and turn the game into a sandbox. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't think the game is really all that scary, but it does get your heart rate up a little bit, especially at night when you know there are zombies around and you've lost all visibility because you don't have something to project light out. It's just kind of cool to have that in a game like this, because it does feel like a retro version of 7 Days to Die and also kind of an XCOM UFO Defense knockoff. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.